What is up, everybody? Welcome to PFL 2021 number 5. We got MacDonald versus Tibau in the main event. This is the best bets plus weigh-in recap and predictions for the entire card. So we'll go through each of the fights. We'll talk about the matchups. We'll talk about who's going to win them, obviously, and maybe the best bets to place as well. Have the betting odds placed on screen here already. We'll also be bringing up Tapology. Unfortunately, I won't have images from the weigh-ins. Did not want to risk going through and playing the PFL weigh-in video, and then they'll try to copyright us. So we're not going to do that, but we will talk about how the people looked on the scales. Some good fights, some fun matchups. First fight of the night, Sabito Sai versus Aleksakhin. I'll be honest, guys, seeing Sai and Kuchenko face off, definitely, I started having more confidence in Kuchenko stylistically, right? We talked about this matchup. Huge height and reach advantage for Sabito Sai. The thing is, can he stop the Kuchenko takedown on the other side? Kuchenko, good fighter. I mean, only lost 2 bouts as a professional UFC veteran, but over the age of 35. Is that necessarily an impossible feat to beat a guy in Sabito Sai who's not necessarily world class? Absolutely not. We could see Sabito Sai get dominated here. Even though I did pick him to win, the more like you look at that face-off, it's a tricky fight, striking-wise, though. You know, you got Sai on one side, who's more the rangy striker. You have, the technical Thai-style striker of Aleksei Kuchenko, that pressure-forward style. He's not really a guy that tries to wrestle all that much, but he definitely can, and I do believe he's probably a bit better grappling-wise than Sabito Sai. I'm still going to stick with Sai here. He looked good on the scales, as he always does. He's just a shredded guy that's in incredible shape. I ride Sabito Sai dog pick. It's one of the dogs of the week, but I'm not going to say it's the supreme, absolute, you must bet it type of dog play, if you get what I'm saying. Stylistically, I think he can match up well, and I got Sai winning a close decision here with that huge height and reach advantage. But Kuchenko, if he's really been working that grappling game, could put Sai on his back and get the W. Still, I'm going to ride with Sabito Sai to win. I mean, you look, he's been in there with some decent names. Draw with Ray Cooper a while back. No contest in the last one. I do think he can beat Kuchenko on a decision. If you're looking for a dog to bet, that's definitely one of the dogs of the night. Plus 140. We'll pull up the props as well. I mean, we'll talk about what we can do here. So fight goes the distance is minus 165. Sai by a decision plus 280. Look at Kuchenko's losses, 2 of them. You see the loss by decision and the loss by decision against world-class guys. I think Sai could beat him on a close split decision. Fight goes the distance play, I would say, is a very confident pick here. Also, potentially, it would be Sabito Sai winning a decision. If you're looking for some bets on this matchup, I would say those are the ones I would lean you towards. Kuchenko on the other side, winning fights. He definitely has the striking ability, but look at the way he wins fights inside of the UFC at the higher level. Wins him by decision, does have a knockout win. When was the last time there was a loss for him by knockout? Glyco Franca did knock out Sabito Sai about 2 years ago. I think I'm going to ride Sai still, even after the weigh-in, seeing them face off. I like the size advantage, reach advantage. Sai is not world class, but matches up fairly well stylistically. I'll have him on a split decision victory. I do think a dog play with a reasonable amount. Do not be stupid on this fight, because at the end of the day, Kuchenko's UFC, ex-UFC caliber. And I mean, he's beaten Yushin Okami. That's a decent fighter, but he is 37 now, and Sabito Sai 34. I'm going to ride Sai split decision. Competitive fight, tricky matchup, betting-wise. If I had to give you one to bet, I like fight goes the distance the most here, to be 100% honest, or potentially maybe you do Sabito Sai winning by a decision. And if you're on the other side, maybe you do Kuchenko winning by a decision as well. But let's move on up the card. We will pull up the next matchup and talk about some of the best bets we can place on that. It is the old Tom Lawler versus Jordan Young. I'll be honest, guys, isn't it interesting to see back in action, filthy Tom Lawler? And guys, forgot to mention already, smash that like button if you have not yet. Goal on this video, we need at least 65 likes. So smash the like button for this best bets weigh-in recap video. We got these PFL fights actually happening today later on. Once I'm back home and everything's back to normal schedule, which I will be back home next week, we will have the the videos out for the weigh-in recaps the day before. This week, I'm out of town. I'm visiting family, so we're getting it done as we can. But we're still here grinding as we always do. So smash the like, subscribe if you're new here. PFL 2021 Best Bets. This is the event number 5 of this year. And this matchup, Tom Lawler and Jordan Young, damn good one. And one that I'm excited for. Young, hot prospect. Lawler, washed up vet, to be 100% honest. High-level grappler versus tricky southpaw. Tom Lawler, he's got that pressure forward style, and he's scrappy. I mean, in his prime, it's a different matchup. Today, it's one-sided. I don't see much of a chance for Tom Lawler here. He's getting tapped out, I think, in the first round. Could he go all 3 and just get grinded on the ground? Absolutely. But I think more so Jordan Young for the win by a submission. As far as the props, unfortunately, we don't get props released for PFL on time enough, and that's why, you have to wait sometimes for these best bets video to like either the night before or the day of the fight. I think that Young winning inside the distance is likely. -130 tag. Win by decision for Young would be +254. I don't like the price on it, so if I'm going to lean you towards a best bet in this one, could potentially be Jordan Young at -440 on a parlay. But if I have to give you one, I guess it's Young wins inside the distance. If the submission prop does drop between now and when the fights happen, which is a few hours, I do think Jordan Young winning by a submission would be the prop to play. If it's at any bit of plus money, I do think it should be a pretty decent cash because he is a guy that finishes fights by submission. Very good grappling game, and Tom Lawler and him faced off. Obvious. Tom Lawler's tough man, respectable fighter. I like Tom Lawler. He's an OG, but he's not going to win this fight here. And on the scales, nothing made me even question my original prediction whatsoever. Let's keep on moving, though. Let's keep on moving up this card. We're already at the third fight of the night. Magomed Karimov versus Curtis Melender. They were jawing at each other a little bit more Curtis. Terrible matchup stylistically. Melender, there's things to like. I like Curtis Melender. He's a good fighter striking wise, but don't give him these killer wrestlers. You got the Dagestani wrestler with Magomed Karimov. It's literally the worst stylistic matchup possible for Curtis. Can't stop a takedown Melender. That's no disrespect. We're joking with him a bit. Truly, he can probably stop any average guy's takedown. Anybody that probably even wrestled that doesn't train at a high level of MMA. The thing is, he's fighting all savage fighters that are very good on the ground. Back-to-back. Rory tapped him in the first. Magomed Karimov will also tap him in the first round. Submission win for Magomed, or even a TKO on the ground potentially here. I got Magomed winning, and I don't think it will be very competitive. From outside range, Curtis Melender striking very good, long reach. But if you can't stop the takedown, you cannot win the fight against a guy like Magomed Karimov. Let's look at the odds. Let's see if there's some props. My goodness, the odds are wide. -1250 to +800. Let's see. Magomed Karimov inside the distance is -245. He's expected to win inside the distance without the good props. It's another one. If you told me I could bet up a submission or a knockout prop, I would want to do that inside the distance at -245. He should win inside the distance. I would say it's a decent play if you can parlay it up with something else. I'm going to pick that as the best bet at -245, but it's an ugly price tag because you're paying a good amount of money down. And it's a guaranteed victory. The only way Curtis Melender wins, and quote this now, will be he lands a head kick from the outside or Magomed Karimov shoots and somehow Melender throws either a jumping knee or just a perfect knee up the center and knocks him out. The odds of that happening are below 2%. I don't really think it's possible, but the fight game's crazy. Still, Magomed gets the victory here, and he's gonna win by a submission or a knockout. But I'm gonna pick submission in that first round, and it's all on the ground. Grappling, heavy attack, and domination here for him. Let's keep on moving though. Keep on moving up the card. Joao Zaffarino versus Jason Ponette. You got the unproven Ponette. He got tapped out in the first round in the last fight versus Ray Cooper III. Zaffarino ends up beating Tibau in a back-and-forth competitive style fight. He's beaten some decent names over in the PFL. Hasn't lost since almost 4 years ago now against Herman Tirado. Stylistically, fun matchup here versus Jason Ponette. Really, it's just favorable matchup for Zaffarino. His grappling skill set is going to shine so well here. Ponette really doesn't offer anything on the ground. He's got decent striking, trains over at AKA Thailand, I believe, under Mike Swick. And that's a decent gym for sure, but striking heavy. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt versus the karate-esque southpaw in Jason Ponette. The fight's going to be taken to the ground. It won't be all that close, and Zaffarino should win. Another first-round submission. I'm thinking there's going to be some submissions on this card, and I think Zaffarino, money play, submission victory here. Let's see what the odds are for him winning by a submission. All right, let's see. Zeffirino wins inside the distance, minus 130, minus 120. I think that's the money play there. That's the best bet on this one. Unfortunately speaking, they do not have the submission prop. They don't have the props out for all these fights, man. Damn. But yeah, I still think Zeffirino inside the distance at that price tag is actually really good because I do think he gets the finish of Ponet. Not super impressed by the skill set of Ponet. Stylistically bad matchup. I think Zeffirino should be good to go here and a play by submission. On the other side, Ponet would need a freakish knockout. He's been controlled on the ground before against lesser guys. Won't be close. And on the scales, nothing told me otherwise. Zeffirino looked incredible. Moving on, Martin Hamlet versus Corey Hendricks. I don't think it's going to be all that competitive. I think that Martin Hamlet is a nightmare matchup. Hendricks can strike a bit. He has lost recently. That was against Nazary Nurdimov, who was 7-0. And then he also, against Carlos Eduardo, was taken down and controlled throughout the fight. And now he's taking on a guy who's definitely better. Hamlet is a beast of a wrestler, a fast starter, physically super strong, and he's deadly with his arm triangle from the top position. Versus a decent kickboxer who pressures forward. In this fight, he might be circling away because he doesn't want to get taken down. Hamlet's going to run through him. I think arm triangle submission in the second round from Martin Hamlet could even be a TKO from top position. I just don't think it's all that close, and I think Martin Hamlet is a true lock play. Like, he's going to stylistically dominate in this matchup. Let's see, Hamlet inside the distance. You can find Hamlet inside the distance at plus 200 money, plus 220. I don't know. I feel like he could finish Hendricks. I do think stylistically not a terrible matchup for him. He's been stopped, not an easy guy to tap or anything like that. But when you have a guy like Hamlet on top, he's going to beat you up. And I think second round finish inside the distance play is my money pick on this one. If the fight did go the distance, you want to bet Hamlet by a decision. He's expected to go the distance around the plus 120, plus 130 range. Interesting, it's expected to go the distance. I think Hamlet's going to actually look for the finish. If it wasn't PFL, I would be like, maybe Hamlet would be open to just winning a decision, but you win points off finishes. You know Hamlet has that in mind. He's going to look for the finish when available. He's going to finish Corey Hendricks here, and I think this is a potential early pick for what we might be looking at the champion. Like, I think Martin Hamlet might end up winning this whole PFL thing. We'll see. We still got more fights to see. PFL, guys, I am so sold on. They are really becoming my favorite league outside of the UFC. Like, I love Bellator, don't get me wrong, but PFL is doing something special, and I really support the $1 million tournament. But yeah, best bet inside the distance, Hamlet on that one. Let's keep it moving. The featured prelim of the night, you got Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Vini Magalhães. Vini on one side, legendary Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, taking on Antonio Carlos Jr. Sabado de Sabat. With Carlos Jr. on one side, I mean, he is a guy that's been around for a while too. He's actually got, not a ton of, fights. You could say 11-5, but he's got a lot of UFC experience. He went into the UFC very early in his career. Magalhães, same type of thing. He was a UFC washout. I really do feel like, stylistically speaking, this fight can go sloppy striking, and whose chin is better? Probably Carlos Jr.'s. Earlier in the week, we dogged up Vini Magalhães, and then him, Antonio Carlos Jr. I am trying to pull up the image from the weigh-ins because I want to look at it one more time before I finalize it. Let's see. Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Vini Magalhães weigh-in. We're pulling it up live here. Honestly, I probably could pull it up on the screen, but man, the images are just hard to find here. We're gonna have to look through this thing. Here we go. Nope. All right. Honestly, I'm remembering them facing off, and I feel like it's not like Vini Magalhães is doing anything crazy to sell me on him winning the fight. I feel like, stylistically speaking, though, in his prime, who's the better fighter? I would probably say Carlos Jr., but the better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. And that's like one of the things, like, in this matchup here, you have guys that are essentially good at the same thing. Maybe Magalhães has a bit more power, Carlos Jr. a bit faster. It is a true intriguing fight, and I'm really excited to see what happens. I feel like Carlos Jr. on the rise. Yes, a dog play is valuable for sure. Let me quickly, I'm looking through these weigh-ins here. We got the video here. Let's see. Chris Camozzi. Come on, where's Carlos Jr. and Magalhães? We're going to rewatch this weigh-in thing. I'm literally watching it live again because the top of my head, I can't remember these two. Of all the fights in the card, I looked through the whole way, and I'm not remembering these guys facing off. They both look in similar shape. Magalhães does look old in the face. He looks thick. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to change my prediction. I'm going to stick with Vini. He looks pretty shredded. He looks pretty shredded. I'm going to go Vinny Magalesh. I think he gets it done. Competitive fight, tricky fight. One of those fights that maybe you want to stay away from the bet. Plus 230 money for Vinny. Antonio Carlos Jr. minus 270. Oh, man. Let's see. Junior wins inside the Magalesh inside the distance plus 335. Not a bad play, but I feel like it's more going the distance. Magalesh decision plus 585. I'll take the Magalesh decision at plus 500 or more. But am I going to call him a lock of the night? Absolutely not. But I do think potentially dog or pass money play here. And you could maybe cash nicely. Fight goes the distance, very possible. The Magalesh chin, that's my fear in this matchup. So be smart. Don't bet crazy at it. I'm going to pick Magalesh the dog. We'll go with him, but it definitely can go the other way, and it's one of those intriguing stylistic matchups here. I'm really excited to see this fight, though. I'll be very honest. Let me check the live chat. I'm sorry that I haven't yet, guys. Was waiting to move on up, so we'll check it now. Super hyped to see the Red King back, as am I. Gleason, and I know the size difference is huge in that main event. Best two-fight parlay, UFC and PFL. You can go Vera, Spivak, and then you can parlay them up with like several guys from this PFL card. What you think about a 5-leg? Hamlet, Fajeda, MacDonald, Zeffirino, Young. I think it really should cash. The biggest fear would be if for some reason Fajeda ends up getting caught and loses, but I'm not that impressed by Kamosi nowadays. Gonna throw MacDonald and Magomed in parlays. Yeah, I think you should. Sup, man? I'm really excited to see this event. No, me too, man. Thanks for the breakdowns as usual. Hey, I appreciate you, Duncan D's Nuts. Thank you, dude. This is why I was saying PFL's been fire. Yeah, PFL has come back with a vengeance. I'm becoming a huge PFL fan, guys. Like, I really feel like PFL is a special league. I have strong interest in getting involved with PFL if they're looking for some type of commentator. You know, we're looking for that gig. And I would really like to do it with PFL because I really support what they're doing, which just gives fighters the chance to make life-changing money. But let's move on up the card. Let's get to the main card. If you haven't yet, smash the like button. As I say, goal on this video, we need at least 60 likes. I'd prefer to see some more upwards of 65, 70. And I really do appreciate all you guys for tuning in. So smash that like button if you haven't yet, whether watching live or on replay. I love you all. Let's talk about this fight. Cesar Muntanchi Fajeda versus Chris the Kamikaze Kamosi. I don't know if he actually goes by that nickname, but that should be his nickname. On one side, Fajeda improved tenfold with the striking, knockout power. I mean, the guy looks incredible moving up a weight class. He used to fight at 170. He's now at 205 looking jacked. Did you see him on the scales? My goodness. Kamosi looked a little soft. Looks like Chris Kamosi. Tough southpaw, not an easy fight for anybody. He's a durable guy that can sit in there and really make it a hard fight. He lost to Sorty. He loses mostly decisions, but he has been knocked out in the past. And in this matchup here, he takes on Muntanchi Fajeda, who I think right now is at his absolute best. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skill set is very dangerous on the ground. Kamosi being a southpaw, he's going to be hittable with straight shots, especially as sloppy as he is. I feel like Fajeda is going to be in looking pretty crisp, and I do think he can stop Kamosi in 2. I also think he could get a submission, potentially hurt him with strikes, and then get on top and lock up a rear naked choke. Gonna ride Cesar, and I think Cesar by a finish in this matchup. I like the straight Cesar Fajeda bet on this one. And odds-wise, let's check this out real quick. Minus 335, plus 295. Minus 335 is pretty good. Fajeda wins inside the distance is like minus 140, minus 115 if you can get that. That's pretty good. Fajeda wins by KO TKO. Plus 400 for Fajeda by KO TKO. I do like that price tag. I think that is something that might be worth it here because I do think he can TKO Kamosi, even though Kamosi, tough, durable vet of the game. You got to give the man his due respect. If it does go the distance, what's the odds at? Fajeda wins by decision. I'm going to pick Fajeda by a knockout. Could be a submission, so maybe you save yourself with that inside the distance play, but it's just not all that appealing at minus 115. Maybe this is more of somebody you parlay up. Don't love the odds of Chris Kamosi winning. I think Kamosi could potentially give Fajeda a tougher fight than we're expecting, but I don't really have the hopes of Kamosi beating Fajeda. I just think that is extraordinarily unlikely. And realistically won't happen. Stylistically, not a good matchup for him. He would need to land a wild looping style shot and really hurt Cesar, and I don't see that happening. I'll go Fajeda. Best bet on that one, maybe the inside the distance play, but value-wise, it's not great, so maybe you go the knockout prop, which let's actually look one last time what the knockout prop was sitting at. Plus 400. I like plus 400 for knockout prop. I think that's pretty valuable. We'll go Fajeda. And definitely somebody we'll talk about when we do the parlay picks at the end, which we're striving towards. We're getting towards it. We're at the featured bout of the night. We got Emiliano Sordi taking on Dan Spawn. Fun matchup. Sorty, the last one, had a tough time with Kamosi, Southpaw Kamosi. On one side, you got Dan Spawn facing off. Both look good. Spawn is a Southpaw. I do think that is something to note. He's been a finalist before. The chin does come a bit high, and he does get hurt. Sorty in the last fight dropped by Kamosi. He didn't have a great performance. Supposedly, he was dealing with some issues or whatnot. I believe, maybe it was COVID. I don't remember exactly. But I will say, stylistically speaking, striking-wise, Dan Spawn is in this fight, guys. And for me, if I have to throw a dog plus 300, I'm dog or passing it. I'm picking Spawn to win by knockout. Could it go the other way? Absolutely. And I'm not saying lock of the night Dan Spawn. I'm saying dog of the night Dan Spawn. And a dog is going to have, more than 50% confidence. Let's say it's around 55%, 60% for Spawn. I think it's worth a bet at the value if you're looking to play it. I think he should win. Granted, yeah, sure. Sorty could come back with absolute vengeance and really be on fire and beat up Dan Spawn, or Spawn puts him to sleep in the second round. I'm going to go with Spawn's second round knockout. There's keys to victory for Sorty as well, but I think Dan Spawn needs a victory, man. 3 in a row after, fighting for the world title. I think now is the time, and it's not a terrible matchup. And honestly, he didn't take a lot of damage against Hamlet. He got tapped out. So realistically speaking, I think Sorty a month ago took way more damage versus Kamosi than Spawn did losing to Hamlet. I'm going Spawn. Knockout. Second round. We're going to ride with him as a dog plus 300. I think he's a straight sprinkle, and you definitely can put some money down as far as the odds for this matchup for like a finish by Dan Spawn inside the distance, plus 460, plus 475. Spawn to win by a KO, TKO, plus 600. The best one is the inside the distance play. I'll strive you towards that, or just a straight bet on Dan Spawn. Why even risk having to worry about if he ends up winning by either method? Still plus 300 is fantastic. Somebody that you might want to play straight. Don't go crazy with the bet, because as I said, it's a tricky fight for sure, but it is a dog prediction, and we are riding with him, and he is, I would say, the true dog of the night. And we'll ride with Dan Spawn at the plus 300. Value-wise, I think it is closer than the odds have it. Stylistically, decent matchup. Dan Spawn, knockout. Second round should be a fun fight to see, and we'll see. Does Sorty come back with an absolute vengeance and prove me wrong here? He definitely could, but I'm going to ride Dan Spawn in this matchup. And I think the best bet is a Spawn inside the distance. If you do like Sorty on the other side, maybe a Sorty wins by decision, maybe. Sorty by a decision, plus 350. That's really good. Sorty by a TKO, minus 110. He's expected to win by finish, but I do think it could happen. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Fight does not go the distance here. Is at minus 270. I see why. I think we're looking at a finish. The thing is, Sorty can get caught and hurt too, as can Spawn. One of those 50-50 fights, but I'm going to say 55-60% more towards Spawn. So I'm going to pick Dan Spawn to win by a knockout here over Sorty in what's a fun feature bout of the night and some decent money opportunity. Let's keep it moving, though. We got Ray Cooper III versus Nikolai Aleksakhin. On one side, good wrestler, Ray Cooper III definitely has some knockout power in the hands, good striking ability. Aleksakhin on the other side, I mean, the guy's a very tricky fight. Sambo background, lots of Sambo matches, bouncy style, good striking, good takedown defense. I think that you're going to look for Cooper trying to wrestle him. It's not going to work here against Aleksakhin. I really think Aleksakhin is actually going to be clearly ahead in this fight by just a bit. Co-main event of the evening, serious matchup. I think the winner of this fight potentially striving towards being a finalist at the least, probably facing alongside Rory. I'm going to ride Nikolai Aleksakhin win by decision in this fight over Ray Cooper III. Looking at them face off didn't change my confidence in Aleksakhin at all. He's a very slight favorite here, minus 145 against Ray, over 2.5, minus 115. I think that's a good bet. Fight goes the distance, plus 105, another good bet. Aleksakhin wins by decision, all the way down at the bottom here, plus 205. I think that's a very good bet as well. Some of the best bets there. I would say if I had to give you one, I'm going Aleksakhin decision because I like the odds of him winning by a decision. But if you're feeling like you're on the side of Ray Cooper or you're just undecided, you could really do that. Fight goes the distance at plus 105 or even the over 2.5 for minus 115, minus 110. But yeah, I'll ride Aleksakhin here, and I'm pretty damn confident that he wins the decision. Stylistically, solid matchup against Ray Cooper III. But let's keep on moving. We've already arrived at the main event. We're here. Main event of the evening. You have on one side the Red King, Rory MacDonald, Mr. 1000 nicknames. And then on the other side, we have Gleison Tibau. Very exciting fight. Rory MacDonald should dominate. Better striker, well-rounded overall. Tibau physically very strong, and he's jacked. You see the gains on Tibau. His arms are humongous, but doesn't matter. It's fighting. It's not bodybuilding. Rory MacDonald should win this fight. Clearly dominant unanimous decision. Could he get the finish? Sure, but it's not like Tibau's an easy guy to put away. He lost to Makhachev by a knockout 4 years ago nearly. Zeferino, I mean, to me, I think Rory could get the finish, but you look, he's decent with his decisions, and I think Rory's going to win a decision against Gleison Tibau, 30-27. Rory's a very strong favorite, minus 950 now. Earlier in the week, you got it at minus 600. The odds are so wide. MacDonald wins inside the distance, plus 150. MacDonald wins by a decision, minus 120. I like the decision play here at minus 120. If you're looking to bet this fight, you're probably going to have to deal with just betting that because props-wise, I mean, sure, MacDonald could win by knockout, but when's the last time MacDonald won a fight by knockout? It's years. Let me actually look. It's been a long time. He won fight. All right, so he got a submission in 2017 over Paul Daly. His last knockout win was in 2014. Decisions all since then. He's been going the distance a lot. He's lost himself by TKO. His last fight he did win by a submission, but that was against a guy in Curtis Melender who's not a very good guy on the ground, whereas Tibau is very good with his jiu-jitsu. Unanimous decision. Rory MacDonald. I think it's a good play at minus 120. That is my pick for the best bet on this matchup. Rory MacDonald wins by decision. Overall, we're looking at a pretty fun card. Let me check up on that live chat, and then we will get to those parlays as well. Great breakdown. Thank you, my guy. Shout out to you. Bet all 10 dogs live. Favorite odds are now muted on any value. Hey, man, definitely a bold move, my guy. Definitely a bold move. Guys, smash that like button if you haven't yet. As I said, go on this video. We got 60 likes. We got PFL coming up. We got some of the best bets. Now we're going to really go over what I think are the parlays to play on this card. There's definitely some fun money to be made. Stylistic matchups that are very interesting. Let's go Hamlet, lock of the night. I'm going to pick Hamlet, lock of the night. That is my lock of the night pick, and I'm going to team him up with Jordan Young at minus 157 with Magomed Karimov. Honestly, all three of these guys, I feel like are true locks of the night. You're still in minus money, though, because that's damn ugly to look at. And is there, like, the most confident dog that we want to play? Not really. These four-fighter parlay. Let's go Hamlet, Young, Magomed Karimov, and Cesar Ferreira for plus 127. Maybe you want to bet one more fighter, Aleksakhin to plus 283. I think the money to be made on this card is if you're betting straight and you're betting with a decent amount of cash on fairly confident picks, or you're playing parlays that are a little bit risky but really should come through for you. I don't really feel like the value on some of these parlays is all that great. I mean, if you bet all these guys, and let's say they all come through, which honestly, the fight game is crazy. Somebody might get knocked out or submitted here. It's a gamble for just plus 413, which is really why I don't love it. So if you can just try your best to get like a minus 130, minus 150, like let's say we just go with the best plays possible, in my opinion, which would, let's say we go Hamlet, let's say we go Zeferino, and let's say we go Young. We're looking at minus 102. I think leave it alone, bet that three-fighter parlay, and if anything, take out one of the guys and bet somebody else on a separate parlay. Don't go crazy betting it all together. Maybe you want Ferreira plus 107. That's pretty good. Or maybe you put Aleksakhin down plus 173. Keep it like three-fighter parlays max here, truly, and just do multiple of them would be the advice I will lean you guys towards, because I really do feel like you look at PFL, you have some nights where every favorite wins, some nights every damn dog wins, and some nights are just all over the place. So who really knows exactly, but I do think the predictions are going to be pretty damn good. I don't know 100%. I would love to go 100% every night, but as I always say, the fight game is insane, and going 100% would be awesome, and it has happened, but not all the time. It's one of those things. So diversify with the parlays a bit. Have a few out there. I do think, a good amount will cash. There's definitely some serious money opportunities to be made. I don't really see MacDonald losing. I don't really see Hamlet losing. I don't see Zeferino losing. I don't see Magomed Karimov losing. I don't see Jordan Young losing. But if you look at all the other fights, even though I'm confident in the guys I pick, absolutely, there are paths to victories for both fighters. Like, the fight game is one that, realistically speaking, every stylistic matchup, it's who gets their game plan better, like who puts it out there better, who pushes it forward better. And there are tough fights. You look at the Carlos Jr. Vinny Magalhães fight, Carlos Jr. might destroy him. Look at the other side, Magalhães might end up beating up Carlos Jr. You look at this Cesar Ferreira, Chris Camozzi fight, should be good for Ferreira, but he has been knocked out at 170, so if he gets touched on the chin, he could get hurt. So just be intelligent about the matchups, the true, strong, confident ones that you want to put together. Like if you really want to go with like the true locks of the night, let's actually just double check what that money was at because I want to look at it for myself, really. All right, let's say we go here. Let's say we go Hamlet, and let's say we go Zeffirino, Magomed Karimov, and Jordan Young, plus 137. The riskiest parlay right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's a lock risky parlay, but it's still a risky one. So if you're looking to play one, you're looking for less risk, but still want to put yourself out there where you could be shafted. But I don't really see strong paths to victory for any of these guys' opponents. Like best opportunities for them to win, I feel like would be them getting caught in their fights. Like it's hard for me to see these guys losing. So those are my parlays to play overall. That was the full card predictions after the weigh-in, so the weigh-in recap as well. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We had some of the best bets that we talked about. Overall, solid card for the PFL. It will be on tonight. Should be a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you haven't yet, smash the like button. How confident am I in Martin Hamlet getting the finish? I am pretty damn confident. I am going to say 70% confidence. If I have to give you a percent, maybe 75. Enough that I put money down on it. That's my opinion there. Enough that I put money down. Should be a lock pick, though. Overall, great card. Guys, make sure you smash the like button. As I said, go on this video at least 60 likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe here, too. We cover UFC, PFL, Bellator, and even some one championship as well, especially when they bring it back to the States time zone. But as of right now, their cards haven't really been that stateside friendly, so I just haven't been really all that interested in covering them. But we're still covering some of the best action. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. Goal 60 likes on this video. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.